You'll be moving to our branch office starting tomorrow. Is this a demotion? No, the branch just needs more hands. Having a transfer so quickly is odd. Just yesterday, did someone in a position of authority say anything? The boss's expression tightened as he applied more pressure. Jason, you should be grateful it's just a demotion and not something worse. I argued, I haven't done anything wrong. The manager simply placed his hands on his head, clearly frustrated. Yes, you haven't done anything improper, but occasionally the circumstances and the parties involved are simply too complex. Not all that seems right always is. You ought to be aware of that if you work in the business sector. I have no desire to comprehend that, I said without thinking. The manager sighed heavily. I may not agree with what you're saying, but I'll accept the decision quietly. The decision to demote someone was made in an instant. My supervisor said that I was demoted because I was unable to assess people and circumstances, but I didn't see it that way. The event was only yesterday. While I was passing through the train station, I saw an elderly man purposefully bumping into women. He fits the description of a bump into guy. Why was that guy intentionally doing it? That's risky. Observing ladies stumble and fall due to him was more than unsettling. The old man seemed to detect something as I was going to approach him, and he hurriedly vanished into the crowd. There was an unusual tension in the air when I arrived at the office, still irritated. Some bigwig was rumored to be stopping by the office for an inspection. As if incentives and evaluations depended on the outcome of the inspection, which is why the supervisors were rushing around, making sure everything was in working order. That bigwig turned out to be none other than the elderly station employee. That's the man that was stirring up trouble, right? It can't be true, I reasoned. Upon seeing that haughty CEO, I was reminded of my irritation from earlier in the morning, and without even thinking, I approached him. Excuse me, I have a question. He said, what is it? Back. Why did you keep bumping into women at the station this morning? The executive's expression clearly stiffened. This morning, I saw you. It was deliberate for you to walk into them. A few even lost their balance. Did you know? What did you intend to accomplish? Were you annoyed by them, or did you want to touch them? Attacking defenseless women is bad in any case. How do you feel about that? The executive was stunned by the volume of enquiries and was unable to say much more than open and close his mouth. Hey, Jason. When the boss saw this, he quickly spoke out. The executive's face continued to flush. Are you in charge here? Let us discuss in private. Yes, the boss said, his expression as ferocious as a thunderstorm. Instead of answering my accusations, the executive led the boss into a meeting room. And I was demoted today as a result. My employer was inconsolable, and the big shots were furious, but I still think I said nothing improper. There have been a few previous incidents similar to this one. It's acceptable to call attention to bad behavior, regardless of the status or position of the person making the statement. Sometimes my close friends who know me well would warn me when anything like this happened. But in my opinion, telling the truth is always the best course of action. I'm grateful for my friends that support and encourage me no matter what problems I run into, but I was unable to pay attention to their advice. I used to get reprimanded for lying to my parents and instructors when I was younger. I'm an adult now, and being honest gets me in trouble. It does not seem fair, does it? The entire crew at my new workplace, the sales office, gave me a hearty welcome. The office was located in a secluded rural community, so much so that people used to call it the outpost of real backwater. There was only the manager, a salesman named Peter, and an administrative assistant named Emily. Although not many consumers were coming in, they had enough workers to meet their needs. There's no way I'm going to be able to perform better here, and they even reduced my compensation by cutting my allowances. It seemed like a standard downsizing. Hopefully, we can collaborate successfully. This place seems to be quite relaxed, I added extending my greetings to the trio. Everyone appeared briefly stunned. You certainly are direct. Jason, let's stay occupied together. That sounds good. Well, yes, indeed. In that vein, let's all try our hardest. Peter may have had the playboy appearance, but the manager came across as a cheerful old man. Jason, I'll usher you to your desk. With a cane in her left hand, Emily got to her feet after exchanging greetings. Wait, why the cane? I inquired. Emily gave me a tapping motion with her right leg. A few years ago, I was in a serious accident. Since then, I've needed this. She moved across the office with grace, guiding herself with her cane. It's your desk, please. That's where the bathrooms are. It was fascinating to watch her move between bookcases and desks with such ease. She appeared to get self-conscious as I kept staring, attempting to cover up her cane. Please avoid staring. I am aware of my oddities. No, you weren't strange to me. I was simply amazed at how skillfully you use the cane. It's quite cool. Cool. I'm not too graceful, so I doubt I could walk with it. It seems like you practiced a lot. To be honest, I respect you. It's good to hear, even if you're just being courteous. With all sincerity, thank you. Emily had a smile that could light up a flower in full bloom. A few weeks later, Peter started teaching me the ropes. It was evident from watching him work that he was no wimp. He appeared to be pretty capable, in fact, so I'm not sure why he was assigned here in the first place. With a tug at his light brown hair, Peter admitted, I don't really get along with high-ups. His ears, which have several piercings, are visible behind his hair, which is a little long at the nape. Well, as long as one isn't disheveled, appearance shouldn't really matter. True, people in positions of authority frequently disapprove of these expressions. I get that. That's not fair, Jason. I made a comment, but Peter laughed happily anyhow. But I'm fine here. It's enjoyable working with them, and everyone is pleasant. The people here, in my opinion, are definitely more grounded than those at the main office. They may be a little unambitious, though. True. After being transferred here a few weeks ago, I've been thinking about something. It concerns this man, Peter, and a woman, Emily. Despite their claims to be only coworkers, it's obvious they have diverse perspectives on one another. It's evident from simply observing. Even the manager has probably noticed. They just need to let each other know whether they have feelings for one another. What's causing them to hesitate, I wonder? I asked Peter how he felt about Emily, and he gave me an uncomfortable look and knitted his brows. She is usually a huge assistance. She is a decent person and sincere. How about on a romantic level? Are you fond of her? I'd like to approach her, but I'm not sure how. Somehow I feel bad. Why does that happen? It's beyond me. What is the source of your guilt? Due to her leg problem. Being able to walk normally makes me feel horrible. For some reason, Emily appears to be feeling a little uncomfortable too, but I completely missed what Peter was saying. I enjoy this branch in spite of all that. Despite the fact that I was kind of demoted and moved, I have no plans to return to the main office. I would actually want to see this area flourish even more. The people are competent in addition to being pleasant. So, I partnered up with Peter and we gave it our all, making the most of my sales expertise and the relationships I've developed over the years. Even though there were moments when it felt impossible, we persisted in trying. It appeared that our efforts were finally going to be rewarded. We were about to seal a big contract. The prospective client's vice president and CEO were in town for a meeting at our office. Although Emily and the manager were observing covertly from a distance and were a little anxious, everything were going well thus far. For now, let's call it a day. How about dinner, given our prospective long-term relationship? As the discussion drew to an end, the client presented this proposition, and Peter and I looked at each other. It sounds fantastic. I'm aware of an excellent diner. looking forward to it. Peter and I had previously had dinner at this restaurant. Everything about the meal, the atmosphere, and the hostess' demeanor was excellent. Upon expressing my liking for this diner, Peter answered, "If you say so, the diner is guaranteed by now." He reads my character rather well. As a group of 4, we left the workplace and went to the diner. The vice president and CEO appeared to be in good spirits after having few drinks, and the talks went just as easily as they had throughout the meeting. I believe we've handled everything flawlessly thus far. We have a good chance of closing this agreement. Now all we have to do is end the evening without any problems. That is when it took place. But isn't there an issue with your secretary? Everything had been going well until that one comment, which stopped both Peter and myself cold. Still, the CEO continued in the same cordial manner. "She may be cute in certain ways right now, but that's only because she's young. Women grow old rapidly and become ordinary old ladies. Not only is it unattractive, but one-leg infirmity must be a burden. You would think they would hire another female employee to add some color to the office if she was the only one." The vice president gave a nod of approval. "Yeah, I was taken aback when she walked in with that cane. When I heard them laugh mockingly, I really lost all patience." Peter got up before me, as if he knew I was about to. "You sure had a lot to say, thinking we'd just sit and listen, haven't you?" His voice resounded throughout the room, deep and full of cold rage. It's amazing to think that Peter, who always has such a silly smile, is the source of such intensity. The vice president and the CEO are both gaping in disbelief. "You're implying that our secretary is ineffective. You must be joking with me. She's far more admirable than idiots like you who denigrate other people because they look down on women or are somewhat different. She never says cruel things to others without being aware of their challenges. You old fools, you are a shame." It's probably not how he usually speaks up. He appeared to be out of breath after reading it all at once. Breathing deeply, Peter glared at the vice president and CEO. Naturally, I did not stop him. "What has become of you?" It's unkind to the coworker. It was so funny to watch Peter change all of a sudden, and the vice president stutter in shock, that I nearly started laughing. You don't have the right to treat someone from a different company poorly just because it's a social gathering. You guys are the ones who are disrespectful here, if anything. What did you say? Peter was not the only one who joined in, challenging them both and turning them both red with rage. Why are these guys acting this way? I'm done. Come on, let's go. Yes, sir. Their footsteps echoed as they stormed out of the restaurant, fuming. The private dining area was silent as soon as the sliding door closed behind them. Peter sighed deeply and sank into his chair. Oh no, that was a bad idea, especially in the middle of a business meeting. I was informed by the manager that he is supporting me. He must have been afraid after realizing how serious the situation was. I gave him my phone in a low voice after noticing how miserable he looked. Our branch office was contacted during the conversation. Jason, what is happening? Simply have a conversation with them. Peter timidly placed the phone to his ear. Hello. You did great, Peter. The manager's voice was crystal clear and audible from the other end. I gave Peter a comforting shoulder pat when I noticed his perplexed expression. Since they first started insulting me, I've actually remained on the queue the entire time. I instantly felt that kind of person was beyond our ability to handle. To make sure they weren't lying, I answered the phone so the manager could hear them. So he heard everything I said? Peter, I heard you completely. You made the correct decision. Well done. Excitedly, the manager's voice sounded out. You're correct, Peter. Many thanks for that. I'm ecstatic, Emily. Peter's eyes lit up as soon as he heard Emily's voice, which was just as happy as the manager's. I could still hear compliments for Peter and myself at the other end of the phone. I gave Peter a fist bump while he was attempting to reply while trying not to cry. He gave it back giving me a triumphant fist bump. With a client like that, problems would have most likely arisen eventually. It's fortunate that we learnt about them quickly. But if you could get a comparable deal shortly, it would be extremely appreciated. Maintain your good work, the manager stated in a tone that was characteristically casual for him to provide such a high directive. Though sales are still difficult and the deal fell through, there was one bright spot. Peter and Emily began dating. It appears that after they made a stand that day, the dust settled between them. The best policy is, in fact, to be honest. Jason, I appreciate you picking up the phone back then. You made it possible for us both to go forward. Emily was beaming and looked beautiful as ever. Congratulations, you make a great couple. I'm grateful. I won't break my heart, so don't worry. Yes, but hold on. What? I apologize, Peter, but you will have to overlook such a remark. I simply can't keep secrets. It's time to move on and possibly look for love again.